Well, good morning, fellow creators. It is Saturday, May 16th. Just before 8:30 in the morning. I'm getting myself a little warm-up project together here, because I've been doing some pretty fun things lately that I definitely want to talk about. And I've also got like 6 projects on my floor to work on today. Stick around. So I'm currently grinding down a little ink here in an ink stone, making sure I have a decent consistency here, to finally do something with my fluted hockey brush. It's been sitting in my drawer forever. I've got a bigger one. I've never touched it. But today, I'm actually going to use it for this little warm-up exercise. So I've been doing this lately. It started Monday night, I think, where I taped out a big sheet of watercolor paper, and then over top of that with thinned out black acrylic wash and a fan brush, a soft fan brush in particular, one I don't use much. I very loosely just spread around a bunch of paint, and then when I pulled the tape off, I got all of these basically large thumbnails, more or less. Similar to what I can do in my sketchbook with a pen, but in this case, it's all large and with a brush. And I'm like, this is really cool. And after I did this, I was like, these lines are too far apart. They're too wide. I got to do one with thinner lines. So then I did one with thinner tape in the middle. And I was like, this looks way better. Because at this point, I was like, I want to start generating some new ideas here. And this is like, just doing 2 pages of these, I was like, I can see at least half of these being full-scale acrylic paintings. This one in particular, I'll talk about a little bit later, perhaps. Or I'll let it be a surprise. But it's really loose. All of that thin brush work, what I was able to get with that brush to twist and move it around. And I'll show you a little bit more what I'm doing in a minute here. But I'm getting all these really interesting new shapes. And then I loved it so much that I just kept doing it throughout the week. So here's another one. This one I don't like as much. It was more of a warm-up for the next several. So there's that one. There's this one. And I'm really loving this process. It's loose. It's like I crank my music up. I dance around a little bit, and just let let myself play, really. That one, this one, which I think was a mix of black and some other colors, so it's not that perfect. And originally I was like, I'm going to do this and cut these all up. But after the first couple, I was like, it looks done. Like, I could frame this right now. Like, I don't want to cut these up at this point. So I'm going to use them for a while, getting new ideas and everything like that. And then at some point, I might just do like a whole show of these, because that would be really fun. What's great about this is it's gotten me to, like I said, there's more here. It's gotten me to use up my acrylic wash that I basically never used. So that's basically what I've been doing. So at this point now, I just have a tube of blue and a tube of white left, and the white I actually use. So I'll probably mix the blue with some black high flow or something to get rid of the rest of that. But yeah, so this one's green leaning. I really like the ones on here. I did this the other day. And this one's more red leaning. I was basically just mixing chromatic blacks. And after all of those, I set this one up the other day and didn't get to it because it was pretty late after doing the red and the green one. But I was like, I want to try this with ink now too, specifically the ink stone. I think I could get a lot of interesting shapes with that. The problem is I don't have anywhere to put these. I'm always moving them around. That's why cutting them up would be better for space, but everything else like that. So anyway, I moved to the ink, and I was originally just grabbed the Sumi brush, but I'm like, wait, no, I've got that big one, and I, in theory, could probably and should probably use this one. But I definitely just want to try and just see what kind of other strokes I can get with this. So that's where I'm starting this morning, is this little warm-up exercise. Okay, so I completely forgot to hit record for this entire thing. Sorry about that. I'll get you on the next one, because I definitely want to do another one of these. Primarily because I found out in doing this that the ink is not effective for this, at least not the Sumi ink anyway. It's not dark enough, and it stays wet too long to do this. I mean, it's still going to look all right, but I definitely like the brush. I definitely will try this again with a brush, the brush and probably some acrylic. But yeah, the ink didn't quite get me where I wanted. So tape-wise for this, I've been finding that white artist tape. I don't know why I'm saying white. I mean, it is white, but it doesn't have to be. The white artist tape I'm finding to be a good, easy peel to get these in and out. And, you know, obviously it's not going to be perfect with the lines, but that's the whole beauty of this, is none of this is supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be messy and loose and freeform, which is nice. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and peel these. Then I'm going to mix up that blue, that funny blue acrylic wash with some high flow, or actually I've got, this is a mixed leftover Liquitex ink. That might work well too. It's a good way to use up supplies you don't touch much. What I was just saying about the easy peel here. What's interesting too now is because I'm using all this artist tape, I'm using up the stuff that I have. I only have the one roll. And I'm like, shit, I'm gonna have to buy like 4 more rolls of this if I'm gonna keep doing this. There's definitely some great shapes in this, but yeah, the ink didn't quite get me there. And because I had to keep kind of going back and grinding darker and darker ink, it actually slowed the process down and broke the movement and the momentum that I had. So a lot of my, sort of like these upper darker layers here, I had to like mix and remix, so it split my concentration. And I can tell too that, I mean, this ink is still wet at this point. It hasn't like quickly dried up the way acrylic does, which means that some of this is still going to flow. And yeah, some of that'll change and stuff, but I can see the shape's bleeding, which at least for this is not really ideal. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side and do probably another horizontal one, and actually record that one. So this is the Canson XL watercolor, which as far as, you know, watercolor paper goes, it's kind of like mid-tier. Some people really don't like this stuff, but I specifically keep it in the studio for stuff like this, the practice, the in-between projects. Maybe a pre-bottled ink would be, it's not even water in this. What am I so worried about? Yeah, I'm for sure going to be using this roll-up. So I'll probably be hedging this between this and the regular 1/4-inch masking. But yeah, this is a really fun process, and it's partly why I haven't been sketching in my sketchbook lately. Is because, again, like, it's that I'm finding those ways to really kind of get that to. Yeah, but it's like that's what's weird. Like these sheets are like big sketchbook pages, basically. But rather than, you know, taking forever to do them, it takes, you know, 5 minutes to lay down a whole series of these ideas. And if you're noticing here, I'm not being super precise taping. I'm not measuring. I am not laying out construction lines of any kind. And when I get to the smaller stuff, I mean, say that especially, I'm not putting in any idea of. I think the very first one I did, and I didn't like the fact that I was doing that specifically because it was too precise. It was like, I don't want to lose the momentum of what I'm doing here. And so literally everything I'm doing is just kind of looking at it by eye. It's like, yeah, it's close enough. That's all it needs to be. I'm for sure using up this tape. That's okay. Tape is at least cheap, relatively speaking. Yeah, so I'm just making roughly, you know, it's about roughly the length of my finger, maybe a little less in terms of height. I know it probably won't be enough to get me a long piece here. How much we got? That's it. Is it enough? It's not. Oh well. Okay, we'll just switch to regular masking. Got plenty of that. I'll just split that up a little. Again, is it perfectly vertical? No, it's not. And they're not perfectly horizontal either. They might be off by a couple millimeters or something. But that's not the point. The point is for it to be kind of close and to get myself in there immediately. I actually want to do a... When I'm doing the horizontal ones, I like to occasionally put a thinner one in there. Like, basically create a couple of tiny verticals. Help break that up a bit. There, and that creates, like, just for this one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 30 individual possible compositions. So it's like I'm taking this process that would normally be, okay, that is really, really crooked, actually. Hang on. Make that just a little bit further. It takes a process that doing in my sketchbook like this with just a couple of pens, which would take a half an hour, and just saves me so much time and preserves all this like fun energy in the whole creative process. So I'm gonna get some thinner acrylic down. I do want to use this brush, but it's at this point now needs rinsed out from that ink. Yeah, I love doing these, and it's for a day that I've got ahead of me, which is a lot of studio projects and then a decent amount of yard work. This helps really preserve my my overall energy and excitement going into new projects like this, and I can guarantee you I will be doing this a lot more going forward. Okay, so this is actually the last of that blue acrylic wash. Now I just decided to screw it, squeeze all that out there. Mixed in with some of the Liquitex ink mix as well as some black high flow. So I've got this pool of paint here. And I'm going to go ahead and get a bit of water down here. So I'll do, it is still 2 passes. It is a looser pass with just the ink. I'll go ahead and I'll do this one without music just for the sake of you guys. So I'm actually just going to do a couple of those to start. Thinner. But because it's acrylic, it'll dry faster than the ink. So it'd be like, jamming to the music, moving around. I'm just going to start pushing that paint. Here's some there, some this way, some that way. Just let my whole arm play with it a bit. For that first round, now I'll grab the thicker stuff and I'll start finding things within it, or even seeing places. There's a lot of empty space here. There's a lot of empty space there. I'll go that way with this one, that way with that one. This is actually much too blue compared to what I've been doing elsewhere, but it shows up on camera better for sure. So now, man, this brush really sheds a lot. I can throw in and start finding like horizons and stuff. That's that way. This, letting the shape of the brush to do it, and this is what made the fan brush really good for this too. I can't hold back as far here, but being able to like push and twist with the brush to get these really weird shapes like that. Just push and twist, push and twist, push and twist. That way we get unusual shapes and shapes that don't normally belong in, I would say, even a landscape setting. Yeah, all these twists. Twist, 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 twist. And when it's all taped together, it looks like one big mess. But the second you take that tape off, you saw that before, it was just like right in there. Yeah, so I can make, with the thicker paint now, I can make that thicker. More, not, the less I water it down, of course, it becomes, that more opaque. Man, yeah, don't buy these brushes, they shed. Don't use them for big painting, use them for practice anyway. Yes, I like the idea of something bigger here. Like that. And it's really hard for me to not overthink this too. It's like, I'm going to sit there and like finesse and detail. I was like, stop doing it. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And, yeah, just one little line there maybe. The idea here is to be sure that, that way with this one. To be sure that there's enough options, like any given one of these, I want to be sure that I can get maybe 3 paintings out of in terms of the same overall or arching sort of composition, more or less. Make that a little bit notable. Some of them I like turning into trees. Or the ideas of trees anyway, or branching out sections. And it's like, and even after like coming in and getting a more defined shape in another one, I'm still letting myself mess that up too. You know, there's it really is the core of that sort of happy accident kind of mentality. Really just kind of letting that push around and find all kind of different shapes in these things. But again, also try not to overthink it. Like, don't spend more than 5 seconds on a section. You know, just let yourself. I was gonna say I'm slowing it down here, and I can see myself slowing it down. Like, the more I slow it down, the worse it gets. You know, preserve that minimal thought to it. You know, just little stroke here, move to the next one. Little stroke here, move to the next one. These are warm-ups. They're not finished, refined pieces. Up there, down. I don't have to go in order, but I'm here, you know. I really like that being a darker thing. There, here. This is fun. Huh. That's really simple. Put another thing in it. Sometimes I'll give a little more indication of a path or something, but most of the time it's just that bigger, bolder shape and line. This I'll put a little bit more into. But yeah, these have been really fun to do. And you can already tell, I mean, it's, again, forgot to record the ink one, but it's like the underline, that lighter blue is dry at this point, or at least mostly dry. So I can really kind of come in and find all kind of other shapes and other areas and just let that exist in this world and whatever these worlds are. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I don't want to push it too far at this point further, especially since I'm running out of paint now. Nice, minimal there. Okay, I'll work with that. I'm gonna go rinse this brush, and by the time I get back, I should be able to peel this off and we'll get a whole bunch of fun compositions. Yeah, so overall, I would say I definitely much prefer the fan brush to that hockey. But that said, I'm like, that should be on top. Why did that peel? Right, masking tape versus artist tape. So peel to the side, we should be okay. So I know this is a vlog, but I hope you guys can, find a way to give this a try for yourself. Because this is, I've been having so much fun doing this. If you haven't been able to tell, I try to feign excitement a lot in a lot of my videos here, but this is true, like real genuine, like, oh yeah, look at that. Oh, I like that one a lot. So at this point, what you can do, well, after it dries anyway, and what I'm still planning on doing for some of the other ones is actually going in with a pen and finding out those shapes and picking the forms out, doing a little basic light rendering to figure out exactly where the where a lot of this stuff is. That's all of those ones. Good. Okay. Losing track of it. Yeah. Man, this is fun. Yeah, and like first thing in the morning like this, or even I've been doing them at night actually when I come home from work, like right before bed. They're splashing paint around. And I've been having such a blast with this, and it's such a, like, it frees your mind up in so many ways too. Like when you stop worrying about detail, and I've been kind of saying this all year, and that's what this year's been for me. It's like, use the supplies, get out of your own head, just start punching things out onto some pages. That's really kind of wild with the blue. I might do colored pencils on top of this one instead of ink, maybe. But yeah, that's this process. Super quick, fun, easy stuff like that. I can't tilt it because it's still wet, but I should be able to grab the ink one now. Couple of wet spots on the ink one still, but not enough that turning it wouldn't be a problem. So here's our ink one. Yeah, there's some ideas in here for sure. I've also been numbering these. Started it once I got a few in there. 6, 7. This is page 8. So yeah, that's kind of been my warm-up lately. So whether it's first thing or last thing, really a blast to mess with these. Ooh, a couple in the middle here are starting to look like forests, jungles. Again, like just the looseness of everything, it gets your imagination moving with a lot of this stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm going to be with that. Actually, since I have all this energy now, I definitely want to get back into the big oil painting, which I haven't touched in like 2 weeks, a week and a half maybe. So I'm going to take you guys over there. Actually, I do want to show you some of the other stuff sitting around, because I did a bunch last week too. So I've got this guy, which I've got sort of this path leading up. This was one of those ink splatter ones that I did last February, attached to a piece of board, and I came in with pinks, purples, and blues with chalk pastel and seal coated that, or workable fix coated that. And I'm going to come back in with some naphtha red medium and Titan buff and start fleshing out a more notable landscape with this. So let me, this way, put that down. So that's that. And I'm not sure on title yet, but the most I've got is Where Something Leads. I'm not sure what the something is yet. It's another small side experimental one. This one I'm going to be coming in with some brown, black, and white ink and a liner. This was my first test of, which is now covered in so much paint, the golden fiber paste, which a lot of viewers have been asking me to pick up for years and play with. So this is the first test of that. That's basically, at this point now, just a rough. Same as the other one. This started with chalk pastels. I mixed in a little acrylic medium and kind of smeared all that around. And at this point, I think it's a nice base for me to come in and do some detailed ink work on top of that with that. So this is more meticulous at this point, now that the looseness of that's done. I've got another couple small ones that also had pastel bases. So this was pastel base and then some loose acrylic on top of that. A little bit of mixing, but I left sort of that background really more transparent, showing that stuff underneath. Same with this, which started out with warm colors, and I scraped all kind of more, actually I think that's just the fixative that created that more mottled look up there. And I came in with actually the same color I was using here. I'm like, I gotta use this color up now. Slapped all that on with a thick glaze and mix of, what's my other new one here, the high solid gel. Mixed that in with the remaining paint from here. Created the gel and then did some subtractive scraping to build out a base landscape for this. So this is in the works too and on the floor. So both of these I can jump to as I need to. And it's me again. I hit record right at the end. Okay, so I got to do this entire stupid monologue again. Coming back into this. So I was starting with the brush to do the trees here, and I didn't like how it looked. So I just grabbed a knife, grabbed some yellows and warms, and just started, knifing that in. I much prefer this now. Still need some work. I still need to really kind of refine those shapes a bit more. Still with the knife though. Work on those reds and yellows and orange mixes and get the contrast and the lighting correct. Dropped in the first couple waterfalls in there because I knew I was doing that as well. Because it's been like 2 weeks since I worked on this, my palette is now mostly dry, so I got to remix paint again, which sucks because a couple weeks ago I had to run down the art store to get myself a new yellow oil because I was out of the yellow oil, and decided to shift the color. I had a Hansa yellow. I'm actually going for cadmium lemon now, which is going to be much better suited to the other colors I've got. I'm going to work some raw umber in here as well that I need to get out. And then some of these reds to kind of really enrich the whole thing. And again, contrast and value needs to be adjusted here at this point. I'll have to get into the paths, redo those, but at this point I'm happy with how it's progressing, but it still needs a lot of work. And what sucks too about going to get this oil, so I was trying to avoid extra driving because my car's been in the shop for, it was 5 weeks. I know I mentioned that, I think, last vlog. Did get my car back for a grand total of a little over $5,000 to get my car back. So needless to say, I need to sell some art this year to help make up from that financial hit I just took. So I'm going to keep this preserved energy I've got and work on this. Consider the talking head portion of this vlog completed, but I'm just going to throw the rest of this, my morning works for this into time lapse for you guys, because I want to get preserving all this excited energy I have from doing those warm-ups, getting back into this piece, because I very much have needed to. And yeah, so normal stuff. Thanks guys for watching. Keep on creating all that. But again, enjoy the rest of this in time lapse. I got to get back to working on this stuff, preserving all that fun artistic energy I've got going. Yeah, so I'm gonna jump into this, and I'll catch you guys next week.